Okay, good morning everyone. Um, we were left with cholera and rabies for revision from the topics that you gave me. So today we'll start with cholera, and you guys please switch on your videos. After that, we will start. Yes, everyone, kindly switch on your videos. Yes, everyone, kindly switch on your videos. Okay, so cholera, this is caused by the infectious agent which we say as Vibrio cholerae. Okay, and cholera is usually it is considered to be a diarrheal disease. Okay, which is caused by V. cholerae or Vibrio cholerae, and the cases can be like mild symptoms. Okay, sometimes the cases may be symptomless as well to severe infections, and usually most of the cases are mild, or you can say them as asymptomatic, that is there will be no symptoms. Okay, no such sign and symptoms. Only thing that you will see are diarrhea, maybe that will last for 1 or 2 days, but nothing more than that. Okay, severe infections are very less. Okay, then the typical cases what they show up with, they are characterized by like sudden onset of diarrhea. Okay, watery diarrhea, which is followed by like vomiting, diarrhea and vomiting, and because of these two the person will be having rapid dehydration, and along with this muscular cramps and suppression of urine, because already the person is dehydrated, there is less amount of water in his body, so urine will be suppressed. Okay, and there should be rapid replacement of the fluid through with the help of electrolytes. Okay, and the fatality may be as high as 30 to 40%, though the severe signs and symptoms are not much common, but if the fluid replacement does not take place, okay, in the initial stage, in that such cases the fatality, that is the mortality rate, can be as high as 30 to 40%. Then reservoir of infection. Reservoir of infection are humans and water, where human is the only host. If you say reservoir, reservoir can be anything like a non-living thing also. For example, water. Okay, so if I say reservoir, then both human and water. If I say host, water is not a host, human is a host. Okay, here animals do not play any role. Animals are not a transmitter of this disease, that is cholera. Then transmission route is fecal-oral route. Okay, fecal-oral route, I have shown you that in polio also, right? That is the fecal-oral route. like a person he has excreted, then the feces, it contains the infectious organism, and when this feces, this passes into, suppose, the fields, the water bodies, okay, or maybe with his hands that were not properly cleaned up, okay, so in those cases, another person, when he takes a bite of the contaminated food or a sip of the contaminated water, in that case also the disease can be transmitted from one person to the other. That is the fecal-oral route. Now, through the fecal-oral route and also through the direct contact with the person. Now, if I say about fecal-oral route, this can occur through the fecally contaminated water, okay, that is the uncontrolled water sources such as wells, lakes, ponds, streams, okay, which have got this infectious organism. So, that is the fecally contaminated water. Next is through the contaminated food and drinks. Okay, these contaminated food and drinks that I have shown you in polio also, how this food and drinks can be contaminated. Okay, other than that, direct contact with the person, like suppose directly transmitted through the contaminated water, okay, vomit of the person who was infected, contaminated linen and fomites, that is the clothes, through these things also, that is through direct contact also this can be transmitted. That is, it has got two routes, one is fecal-oral route, another one is the direct contact of transmission. Incubation period is usually 1 to 2 days, but sometimes it may last from like as less as few hours to as long as 5 days. Then talking about the age factor, children are more affected than adults. Okay, children who are less than 5 years of age, those are more prone to get the disease, and also the older adults, that is the elderly people, are also prone to get the disease. And if we talk about the sex difference, then it is equal in male and female. Next comes your causes and risk factor. Okay, so of course, one cause is your consumption of contaminated water and fluid. Okay, maybe water or any kind of fluid, and also the contaminated food. And the people who live in like crowded area where the sanitation is very poor, or overly crowded area, inadequate sanitation. So in those areas also, these areas are at higher risk. Okay, then eating of seafood, especially when the seafood are raw and also uncooked, and eating of raw fruits and vegetables, like suppose the excreted material of the infected person, that also has got the infectious agent. Now it has passed through by any means to the agricultural field. Now the fruits and vegetables will also be contaminated. Now if you do not cook them well, or if you undercook them, in those cases also there are chances or risk of transmission of the disease. And also some grains, if like they go into the paddy fields, so through the grains also, such as rice and millet, they can also be transmitted. So everything should be properly washed, okay, then properly cleansed, and then properly cooked, okay, every food, because you never know from where the food is coming, and especially the seafood. Risk factor are similar, that is the poor sanitary conditions, okay, reduced or non-existent stomach acid, like if the stomach acid is also less, then the digestion will be poor. So it is more likely in case of adults and children below 5 years of age. Now what is the acid that is present in the stomach? Can anyone say that? Acid that is present in the stomach? Yes, HCl or hydrochloric acid. So that is the acid that is present in the stomach. So too much of acid is bad, because of which we get acidity, okay, but some amount of acid is required, okay. Why it is required? For digestion. And now you might be thinking, acid is like so dangerous, when it comes in contact with the skin, our skin burns, okay, even a small amount. Then how can we have hydrochloric acid in the stomach? The thing is, we have a protective layer in the stomach, a protective mucus layer, which prevents the acid from coming in contact with the skin of the stomach, that is the inner layer of the stomach. So that because of that, this acid and the layers of the stomach are separated. So whenever you eat something, this acid that helps in digestion, but this acid, it is found in less amount in case of the adult and in case of the children who are below 5 years of age. So these people are more at the risk of developing the disease. Next is the household exposure. That is, if someone in your house is infected, so the other person are also more prone to get the disease. That is because the fecal-oral route is the main route, and also direct contact. So if you are living in the same house, direct contact, and if you are using the same bathroom, then of course the fecal-oral route is, you are more prone to get the disease through both these two routes. Okay, and also it has been said that research says that, like type O blood group, okay, people who are having O blood group, they are twice at risk, though the reason has not been established yet, but it is thought that these people are more at risk. Then talking about the signs and symptoms, there are three stages. Okay, stage of evacuation, stage of collapse, and stage of recovery. So if we say evacuation, evacuation means vacating something. Okay, you're making something empty. So here there will be like watery diarrhea, vomiting, okay, profuse painless watery diarrhea. That will not be painful, but it will be watery diarrhea and it will be followed by vomiting. So this is the stage of evacuation, and it might be so severe that a patient may be passing like 40 stools in a day, 40 stools in a day, and the stool may have like rice water appearance. Okay, next talking about the stage of collapse. So because the patient had so much of evacuation, maybe through his stool or through his vomit, now the patient will be suffering from dehydration. Okay, and because of dehydration, the patient, he passes into the stage of collapse if not rehydrated well. Okay, if the patient is rehydrated well in the stage of evacuation, then well and good, but if not, or if the rehydration was not sufficient enough, then because of the dehydration, the patient will pass into the stage of collapse. The classical signs which are seen in the stage of collapse are usually sunken eyes, hollow cheeks, okay, subnormal temperature, loss of skin elasticity. Now skin elasticity also has another term for it. Do you all remember what is the term for it? Skin elasticity, which is usually seen in case of dehydration. Anyone? Yes, anyone remembers what is the name? Okay, it is skin turgor. Okay, Turgor, skin turgor, or which we say is skin elasticity. It is usually seen in case of your like dehydration. Okay, when you have dehydration in your body, and suppose if you pull your skin, okay, so if you try and pull your skin maybe of your dorsum of the hand, okay, which is the back side of your the palm of the hand. So if you pull the skin, especially in that area, or it can be any area, I am taking this as an example. So if you pull the skin will go back to its original position if you release the pull. Okay, because the skin has got elasticity or turgor. But in case of dehydration, which is usually seen in case of your diarrhea or vomiting, when you pull the skin and even after releasing the pull, the skin, it remains in the same position. Okay, it does not go back to its original position. That is because it has lost the elasticity, which comes from hydration only. Okay, so this, the loss of skin elasticity or skin turgor, loss of skin turgor, this is seen in case of your stage of collapse because of excessive dehydration. okay, and shallow and quick respirations. So the respiration will be rapid, that is tachypnea, but then it will be very shallow, that is not deep. And urine output will decrease, and probably this might cease as well, because the person is already dehydrated, there is no water in his body, so the urine output will decrease and ultimately it will cease. And death may also occur at this stage because of excessive dehydration and acidosis. And the patient becomes restless, intensely thirsty. Why? Because he is suffering from dehydration, and also there will be cramps, there is pain in the legs and abdomen. Next comes your stage of recovery. So if the patient survives the stage of collapse, okay, if death doesn't occur in the stage of collapse, then the patient will begin to recover. All the vital signs that are like temperature, blood pressure, all this now come under normal range. Okay. And usually severe cholera, that is passing into the stage of collapse, usually it occur in only about like 5 to 10% of the cases. In the rest, the cases are usually mild, and recovery usually occur in like 1 to 3 days with proper medications. And if the condition is severe, there might be other complications as well, such as your low blood sugar level, low potassium level, okay, and also this might lead to kidney failure. Now talking about the laboratory diagnosis, we go for microscopic study only, microscopic study of the vomitus, okay, that is whatever you have vomited out, but it is rare. Microscopic study of the water sample, food sample that you have ingested, and also of the stool sample that one have excreted out. Okay, so this comes under your laboratory diagnosis, where we go for the microscopic study. Next, talking about the treatment, rehydration therapy, that is oral, example ORS, okay, and also this can be intravenous when we give IV saline. Next, talking about the antibiotics, so certain antibiotics such as your fluoroquinols, okay, tetracycline, azithromycin, ampicillin, so such antibiotics can be given. Since this is an infection, so you can go for antibiotics. So other treatment and medications are not given. Usually when one have diarrhea, so usually we take the antidiarrheal medicines which stop the diarrhea or which stop the passage of stool. But in case of cholera, we do not use this antidiarrheal medicine. We go for antibiotics, that is to control the infection, and for the rehydration therapy. Now talking about the prevention, these are general sanitation measures only, that is water control. So if you are drinking water, so the water has to be filtered properly or boiled, okay. So in those cases the germs will be killed. Then washing hands frequently. Then there should be proper provision for your excreta disposal, that is when someone is excreting openly, only then there are chances of that excreta going into the water bodies, into the fields, okay, that is the agricultural fields. But if there are proper provision for excreta disposal, then this can be, the root cause can be prevented. And food sanitation and disinfection, and the food, it should be properly cooked, and also the water should be properly filtered or boiled, okay. Next, talking about the vaccines, two types of oral cholera vaccines are available. Both are oral vaccines only, which we call as Dukoral and Sankol, okay, Dukoral and Sankol. And also health education is an important measure here, like talking about what is the importance of sanitation, what are the importance of washing hands, okay, what are the importance of maintaining proper hygiene, the importance of eating cooked food or boiled food, properly cooked food, and also boiled water, okay. So what are the importance of these needs to be taught to the people, okay. That is the importance of health education here. And also people have to be educated that early reporting, about early reporting, like if one is experiencing the signs and symptoms of cholera, so if one goes for early reporting, then early diagnosis will help in proper treatment rather than being late and making the condition worse and severe, okay. So this was all about health education. So clear cholera. So tell me, what kind of disease is cholera and what is the infectious agent? It's diarrheal disease, Vibrio cholerae. Yes. Others? Yes, good. So, cholera is an acute diarrheal disease and it is caused by Vibrio cholerae. So, which one of this statement is not true? Okay, which one of this statement is not true? Statement 1, the cases range from symptomless to severe infection. Statement 2, most of the cases are of severe infection. Statement 3, the fatality rate can be as high as 30 to 40% when there is not rapid replacement of fluid. And statement 4, it is characterized by profuse, effortless, watery diarrhea. Which one is not true? Yes. Others? Yes, good. Statement B, okay? Because most of the cases are symptomless and mild, okay? Very few cases are severe. So, what is the host of cholera? Yes, good, human. And what are the reservoir of infection? Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, reservoir and host. Okay, these two are, although sometimes used as similar terms, but in most of the cases they are different. Okay, so if you talk about host, then that is human, and if you talk about reservoir, then both human and water. What are the transmission routes of cholera? Transmission routes of cholera? Yes, good. fecal route and direct contact. Okay, both these two. Now identify the correct statement. The incubation period of cholera is 7 to 10 days. Males, second statement, males are more affected than female. Third statement, children and elderly people are more affected by cholera. Fourth statement, rice and millets cannot be contaminated by the cholera agent. So which one is the correct statement? Yes, option C, that is children and adults are more susceptible. Now why children and adults are more susceptible? I explained this. Yes, everyone answer. Yes, good. The answer is HCl, but then reduced or non-existent HCl. There is the stomach acid, okay, not more. What we have, that is the adequate amount, or that is the amount that is required. But in case of the elderly people and in case of the children below 5 years of age, the stomach acid, it is reduced, that is HCl is reduced or non-existent. And when there will be less amount of stomach acid, so it cannot, the food or the water that they eat or that they ingest, so this will not be digested well, and also the germs that is present in it, that cannot be killed. Okay, which in case of us, if we take like contaminated, even some amount of contaminated food or water, that can be digested because we have the proper amount of HCl required. But in case of the children and in case of elderly people, the amount of HCl or the stomach acid is reduced. Okay, reduced to such an extent that it cannot be cleared or it cannot be cleaned. Okay, the food that they intake. Now next is, which blood group is at twice risk of developing cholera? Which blood group is twice at risk of developing cholera? Yes, good. That is O blood group. What are the stages of cholera according to the signs and symptoms, or the clinical stages? So whenever one says about clinical stages, clinical stage means about the clinical signs and symptoms or the clinical features. Okay, so clinical stage also means the stage depending on the signs and symptoms. So what are the division of cholera clinically? Yes, correct. Stage of evacuation, stage of collapse, and recovery. So death might occur at which stage of cholera? Yes, good. It occurs in the stage of collapse. What is the appearance of the stool in cholera? What is the appearance of the stool? Yes, rice water appearance. Okay. So, what is the choice of treatment for cholera? Option A, rehydration therapy. Option B, antibiotics. Option C, antidiarrheals. Option D, both A and B. Yes, good. The answer is option D, both A and B, that is rehydration therapy and antibiotics. Okay, here we do not go for the antidiarrheal. Although diarrhea is a sign and symptom here, but still we will not go for the antidiarrheal medications. The only line of treatment will be rehydration therapy, maybe oral or intravenous, and antibiotics. What are the name of the two vaccines used in cholera? Yes, good. It is Ducorel and Sencol. Ducorel is also known as WCRBS. Sencol is also known as M or Civex. Okay. So this was all about cholera. So I hope cholera is clear. You have learned something. So is it clear, cholera? Okay. So tomorrow we'll discuss about rabies. Okay. Find out if you have more doubts. Let me know tomorrow so that we can discuss in the next class. Okay. And so we'll wind up the class here. CR, you can send me the attendance. Okay.